We're going to meet on the 19th if nobody has a strenuous objection to that, of this month, and not on the 2nd of January. Now, you would miss either one of them, right? You're going to miss the 19th? Oh. Take your book with you. You can grab the, you could really grab the tape if you want to catch up with it.
I'll have to make them.
Huh?
I'll make them then.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make sure that the tapes remain.
Okay.
Like, very soon after the class.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nifty.
Oh, now let's make our...
All right, so mark that on your calendar. Now, is that a major problem for anybody else? That's 2 weeks from tonight. We'll be here, and we won't be here January 2nd. Then we will have longer to get over New Year's Eve before we have to do Hebrew.
All that sparkling apple cider.
Now that sparkling apple cider. Staying up late.
And where would we be without Mark Nelly?
God bless him. Now, did I just use God's name in vain?
Pardon?
Did I just use God's name in vain?
Well, God isn't God's name, technically.
Okay, that's a good point.
However, well, are you looking at the letter of the law or the intent of the law?
Well,
if you're looking at the intent of the law, when you said God, you really meant Yahweh.
Now, Cyrus laughed, so it wasn't useless. It wasn't completely in vain.
Well,
Maybe I should join you in your devotion.
Great.
I would say important.
I guess it'd be a matter of opinion. It'd be a matter of opinion. Yeah, it'd be a matter of opinion if that was disrespectful or not. But we don't let our kids say God, in vain, like, oh God, that kind of thing.
I've even been desensitized to it, and then not too long ago, someone draws your attention to it, and it's nice. It's nice to be offended. Sometimes I'm not offended nearly enough. When someone said, imagine if they took your mother's name away. If every time they got upset, they said, and use your mom's name, how that would be offensive to you. How much more offensive is it when they use your Creator's name?
I think it is good to be offended by that. However, it may be good to be offended privately by that in some contexts.
Yeah, I do agree that the environment you put yourself in, but
In other words, here's a little challenge for you. Tape's not on, right? Oh, that's all right. That's all right for it to be on. This is just kind of frivolous, but okay, here we go. Hebrew nouns. Looking on the top of page 30, you can see various nouns he gives you that are masculine. Gives you the singular form, the masculine form. We had horse, sus, and susim, melik, malakim. Now you see what's happening here? Sus didn't change. It's spelling, basically, just added the ending. But these other words are changing their spelling. And you can see how they do that. There's a typical pattern with them as well. So davar goes to devarim. Yeled, a young man, boy, goes to yaladim. Yom, day, goes to yamim. And so you should remember that one's going to be fairly frequent, I would guess, in the text, right? So that'd be a good one to kind of remember. Yom goes to yamim. Feminine nouns. Malka, which is queen, goes to malakot, queens. Now we know Melech And see, even when we add the feminine ending, it goes to Malka. By the way, under Malka, what kind of Shiva is that under the Lamed? It's silent. Why is it silent?
Because of the rules.
Because the rules. That's right. Well, yeah, it's preceded by a short vowel. It's the second consonant in a closed syllable, which gives you a clue to that as well. So Malka, Malakot. Now the Shiva under the Mame, what kind of Shiva is that? It's a vocal. How do we know? Because it comes at the beginning of a word, not preceded by any vowel, so can't follow that rule. So it's going to be vocal. So another feminine noun, Torah, goes to Torot. Choma goes to Chomot. Bat goes to Banot. Now, Bat is daughter. Banot is daughters. That's an irregular form, isn't it? So make a note of that in your mind. Keshet goes to Kashetot. And masculine and feminine duals. Yomayim. It dawns on me that sounds like a diss, doesn't it? Yomayim. That's 2 days, isn't it? Toratayim. A couple of laws. Raglayim. Feet. Yadayim, hands, and Einayim, eyes. So you can kind of see how the patterns go. All right, lexical form or vocabulary form, same thing. When in doubt with regard to a word's meaning or form, you will have to look it up in what's called a Hebrew lexicon, Hebrew dictionary. PDB is an example of a Hebrew lexicon. When looking up a noun in the lexicon, you must search for its lexical form. The lexical form for any noun is the singular form. For example, if you were to search for the definition of susim or susayim, you would have to look under sus. So you're not going to find as an entry word susim or susayim, you're going to find sus. Just like if you're going to look up in English, if you wanted to look up the word, we didn't know what the word was meant in English. Are you going to find was in the dictionary? Where are you going to find the dictionary?
Is or to be.
Is or to be. That's right. Depending on whether you're using an infinitive form or a present form. Right? In Greek, you're looking for, in a verb, you're looking for a present active indicative. That's your vocabulary form. If you have a Greek to German dictionary, the vocabulary form will be the present active infinitive form, which is kind of odd. But it's odd that there's a difference, right? So this is in nouns, you're going to look for the singular form. When it comes to verbs, you're going to look for the cal form of the verb root, basically. All right? Yes?
Everything seems to be getting easier. Are there lexicons on discs that you can just key in the word and it'll come to the right one?
Yep. At least within Bible programs, if you have a good Bible program, Logos for Windows or Gramcord for Windows too, but Gramcord's Accordance for Mac. You don't have that, do you? Accordance?
So they have it under the Hebrew, and you look at the Hebrew.
Do you have a Carl? For Mac? Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. If you have the money, that's a great investment to make. For your Mac, that Accordance program.
Logos is coming out in June with Mac version.
Are they really?
It's supposed to be this month, but they got postponed 6 months.
What's it called?
Logos?
No, they have a
Accordance?
People get a deal for
Yeah. But anyway, within those, you can get the dictionary modules for those. So in fact, on my computer, you can put your cursor on the word, Greek or Hebrew, and it's going to parse it underneath for you. And you could put your cursor on the word, and tell it to, and it will bring up BDB or whatever dictionary you want it to bring up, and give you the dictionary entry for it. And all that kind of stuff.
It's like magic.
It's just like magic. So it's pretty nifty. One of these days we'll all be just doing this by computer, basically. We won't even be in the same room. We'll just be doing it by computer. Cameras and things like that. And don't move so fast. My camera's pixelating on me. All right, exceptions to the rules. There are endingless feminine nouns. We've seen those. You just have to know they're feminine. There are always exceptions. Different words do different things. Of, father, which is really weird. Of really has a feminine-looking plural, but it's not. It's masculine, but it looks feminine, right? The plural of father is avot. That's just odd. The word for year, shana, that's feminine, and you can kind of see that by the ending of it, but it's commonly pluralized shanim, which looks masculine. Special dual nouns, you make a note of this. Yadayim, 2 hands. There are 3 words that occur always in the dual: Shemayim, heaven or heavens; Mitzrayim, Egypt; and Mayim, water. For some reason, those occur in the dual form only. Irregular stem change. You have some words that change irregular, like Yom is Yamim. We pointed that out earlier. Here's one. Isha, woman, goes to Nashim, women. That's just an odd thing. Well, man above it, Ish, goes to Anashim for the plural. Yes?
Is Yerushalayim, is that dual?
Mm-hmm.
Is it always dual, or does it not mention it?
Well, that's a place name, so that's just what it is, yeah.
The BDB will tell us, like if I look for the root, the plural, or the singular, it will tell me what the plural is.
Yeah.
So that I can.
Yep. Especially if it's irregular.
Right.
Yeah. Defective spellings of oat. In other words, sometimes because they sound the same, you can substitute a cholam for a cholam vav, right? So sometimes, in the example here, instead of a dot, you can see, no, it sounds the same, a dot, but you just don't have a cholam vav, you have a cholam. That's not too hard to deal with, is it? All right. You can see the patterns. He goes through the patterns of pluralization. And, if we were going to write Hebrew, it would be important to have all this stuff down, because if you're going to make a plural, you're going to have to change the vowel points, all that kind of stuff. Since we're concentrating so much on the consonants anyway, it's not that tough for us to deal with when we see in the text Melech. I know that's king. If I see Malakim, I know that's Melech plural. Vowel points have changed, but I know that happens, so I don't have to worry about that. I may not necessarily be able to predict how the vowel points are going to change, or have that memorized, right? But when I see it, it works. So at the bottom of page 33, Melech, like we said, changes to Melakim. Nephesh changes to Nefashot. Nephesh is a feminine word with a blank ending, isn't it? Cherev, sword, changes to Charavot. Now, why under the Chet do we have a Chatef Patak instead of a Shavah like the other one? The third word down on the bottom of page 33.
There's a little note there.
Yeah, well, what does the note say? Did you read the note?
Yeah. It makes sense.
Gutturals cannot take a vocal schwa. And you can't have a silent schwa at the beginning of a word. So in such instances, they will take a reduced vowel, usually a chatef pata, right? So that's what's going on there. Now, it's really going to sound the same as a vocal schwa, really, but it's the spelling. All right, Sefer, Sepharim, Boker, Bakarim, Zerah, Zaraim, Baal, Baalim. What kind of dogish is in that bait on that word? That's right. Dogish lane a bagad kafat letter. Beginning of a word. That's right. All right. Boy, Na'arim. All right. Pluralization of geminate nouns. This is kind of interesting. Geminate noun is one where the last two consonants are the same. They're twins. It's kind of interesting that the word comes from Gemini, which means twins. But the word levav, heart, sometimes you just see it as lave. You can see it in either form. Because, again, human nature, why say levav when you can say lave, shorten it, and if it's not unclear, then it works, right? So if the two consonants are the same, then it tends to get shortened. When you pluralize it, you end up with a dogish forte in that consonant because the twin kind of comes back. It doesn't come back as a separately written consonant. It comes back as a dogish forte. And so it would influence your syllabalization of the word. Okay. You should become a little bit familiar with irregular pluralization. There are some of them there. And study the summary. All right, so from this, what we really want to know from this chapter, apart from the vocabulary, are the endings. Blank, im, o. That's fairly simple, isn't it? It beats as, u, o, on, oi, on, ois, us, and then the feminine and the neuter along with that, doesn't it? So that's fairly straightforward, fairly easy. So we want to know that, and we want to know the vocabulary for both chapters. So there are 4 things that you need to know for the quiz for next time. Right? From the 3rd chapter, there's a vocabulary list, so you need to know that. And from the 3rd chapter, there are pronunciation issues. So one way that I could do that, which I will probably do, is to spell English words with Hebrew letters and see if you can tell me what the English word is. Now that should be fairly easy, right? Like I could spell fate, F-A-T-E, with what? A pay, without a dogish, a tsere, and a tav or a tate. Now, that wouldn't occur in Hebrew because you'd have to have a dogish and a begad kafat letter that begins a word, but that wouldn't be the point, right? You could look at that and say, oh, that's fate. Yeah, well, it's kind of a backwards transliteration, isn't it? So we could kind of see that you can, pronounce a little bit by doing something like that. That should be fairly easy, right? I hope.
Like basketball.
Yeah.
Thesaurus.
See how long of a word we could get. Yeah. Yeah. Syllabification.
It's not all like Yahweh can't say it.
Yeah, can you translate syllabification into Hebrew? So 2 things from chapter 3. Just that ability to pronounce, which I'm sure you already have already, and the vocabulary. From chapter 4, those endings, which are simply, and be able to, say them out loud and be able to write them. And that's simply blank, ot. And that's a spelling test, by the way. So you say, well, I didn't spell it right, but did I get it wrong? Well, that's a spelling test. And then the vocabulary from chapter 4. So 2 sets of vocabulary, the pronunciation, and those noun endings. Fairly straightforward. The work in this will be the vocabulary, obviously.
And then read 5 and 6.
Yeah. You don't have we don't have the workbooks yet.
You should have them very
Soon,
quickly.
so-
As soon as they come in,
So as soon as you can get on the workbook, that would be great.
we don't get them very quickly. Copies of the workbook. That's straightforward.
Okay, good. Now, let's say the vocabulary on page 36, so that you know how those work. Okay, here's actually the word Adonai. Say that, Adonai, which is Lord. Again, that's a plural, kind of effective sort of a form. But again, it's a plural of majesty. Adon is the singular, and that can occur as Lord or Master, referring to a human being. Adonai can also refer to a human being, I think. I could be wrong about that. Ach. Say that. Ach. Okay, brother. Irregular plural. Achim. Ish. Man, husband, and the plural here is irregular. Anashim. Isha. Woman. Wife. Well, notice that's pretty close to the feminine form of Ish, isn't it? Nashim is the plural. All right, and then Bat, daughter, and the plural there is Banot. Goy, people, nation. Plural, Goyim, is Gentiles, isn't it? Derek, way or road, either masculine or feminine. Har, mountain range. Harim is mountains. Har Mageddon, right? Mount Megiddo. Kohen. Actually, it's Kohen. But we say Kohen, right? People, you've probably heard of people with the last name Kohen, which may indicate that they are actually from the priestly tribe of Israel. It's a Jewish name. Kohen, or Kohen in Hebrew, means priest. Lev, heart. You can see Levav. Mayim, dual form, I always see it that way, water. Nefesh, life, soul, that's a feminine word. Navi, prophet. Sefer, book or scroll. Ayin, eye or spring. And Einayim is the dual form, and that's a feminine word, by the way.
Dual form would be eyes, would be springs, would be
Well, the dual is almost certainly going to be eyes, because, two of them. It'd be so often used in the dual because it's a body part and there's two of them. But it would be ambiguous if you said two springs and you use an ion.
Springs of the deep broke up, would that be?
Pardon me?
When the springs of the deep broke up, would that be in the plural for springs there? Was the flood?
I don't know. I don't know what word that is. That'd be interesting to look that up. I don't know if it's this word or not. It could be another word, but yeah, it'd be interesting to look and see what it is. It probably is in the plural. Yeah. Where are we here? Okay, ear. City. Arim. Is the plural. That's a feminine word. Sava. Army, host, and Savaot is the plural. Armies. You see, Adonai Savaot. The Tetragrammaton Yahweh. Adonai Savaot. Lord Sabaoth. Lord Sabaoth, His name, from age to age the same. Now, that's not Lord Sabbath, right? You confuse that. That's Sabaoth. Sabaoth, literally, in Hebrew. So what does that mean? Lord Sabaoth, His name, from age to age, is Lord of armies. That's going to be the Tetragrammaton, probably, right? Yahweh, Sabaoth. So now you know what that means. If you sing that song in church, you can explain that to people. Lord of hosts or Lord of armies. It's kind of a warrior term, actually. It's not a term of rest, Sabbath. All right. Kol. Voice or sound. Rosh. Head, chief, top. Does that remind you of anything? Well, yeah, okay. Rosh Hashanah. What does that mean? You know enough Hebrew. I mean, you've been exposed to enough Hebrew. Let's put it that way, that you can know what that means. Rosh Hashanah. What does Shana mean? Year. Rosh means head, chief, top. Ha is the direct article. So Rosh Hashanah is
First year.
Happy New Year. That's right. Jewish New Year. Head of the year. Exactly. Does it remind you of anything else?
Roaches are red. I'm sorry. Start searching your head.
Yeah, I know. Roaches are red. That embarrasses me, and my head gets red. So. Well, remember the very first part of the Bible. Bereshit is derived from this. The beginning, in the beginning, the head of time. All right. All right. And Torah. Law, teaching, Torah. All right. I hope you spent some time reading the, deeper stuff at the end of the chapter, the kind of devotional things. It's pretty nifty stuff, actually. All right. Take your Bible again. Back to the first page of the Bible. So, we have in Genesis 1:1, Bereshit, bara Elohim, et Hashemayim, 8 Hashemayim, va'et ha'aretz. Now notice I took a breath after that accent, which is the second strongest disjunctive accent. The first strongest being at the end of that verse. Do you see it there? The colon-looking thing with the meteg-looking thing. You need to know that's not a meteg there. That is part of that salute, soak, pursuit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you look at if you have your accent sheet.
The tabula accentum.
That's right. Now, make sure that you are. Look at the side where it says it's Latin, so we're going to have to struggle along. See where it says accentus, and it's so small I can hardly read it even with my progressive lenses. But see where it says accentus poetici, or however you say that in Latin. These are the accents for poetry, particularly in the books of Psalms, Job, and Proverbs. So for those three books, these are the accents that are used, and they're not altogether different. For the rest of the Bible, you turn it over, and these are the accents that are used. Okay. The Atnach is the one we're talking about. That's the second one. So see A, it's in Latin, but you can see that the top ones are they're disjunctive accents. And if you go down 2/3 of the way down the page to B, you have conjunctive accents. Okay. The strongest. So hard for me to read this in this light, but I think the number 19 is a munach, right? Okay. So look at under Elohim in Genesis 1:1. There you have the Atnach. That's the second strongest disjunctive accent. So there's kind of a pause there in a sense, right? So Bereshit bara Elohim, 8 Hashemayim ve'et haaretz. After haaretz, there's the strongest disjunctive accent, which is basically a period. Right? Now, can you see under bara the accent that's there is number 19, the strongest conjunctive accent. So we know that there is no separation between bara and Elohim because Elohim is the subject of bara. See? So that accent helps us, as if it isn't already clear, that accent helps us see that Elohim is very closely connected to bara. Now, we don't need to concentrate on accents now. That's something we create. So in the beginning, God created, and 8 were their object markers, and now we see Hashemayim. We saw Shemayim, that means heaven, right? Heavens. The Ha part is the direct object. I keep saying that. Definite article. Ha is the definite article. So the heavens and Haaretz is our vocabulary word too. So we've seen lots of vocabulary words in here, right? And the Hey on the beginning of that is the definite article as well. All right. Let's go around the room, starting over here. And in verse 2, everybody pronounce a word one after the other, please.
Are you going to say it first?
No.
Well. Okay. How are you?
Didn't make any mistake yet.
Good. Well, just a little boost. Just help me out just a little bit. Wait, I can.
Okay, what's the first consonant?
It looks like a vav.
Okay, it's a vav. This is a vav consecutive. It's the word and. You translate that and. That gets stuck onto the beginning of the word. All right? You'll notice, won't you, that that's the same word in the beginning of verse 2 that ended verse 1? You'll notice that, right? So the vav is and. The hey is the. And the rest of the word is the rest of the word. Now, in terms of pronouncing it, and I'm not asking you to know what it means, although you do know what it means. In terms of pronouncing it, the Sheva, starting a word, has to be what? Wrong. Vocal. Okay, so the Sheva has to be vocal, and from there on out, you shouldn't have any problem.
How do we pronounce vowels with the W or V?
V. That's why you call it a vav.
Well, yeah. Here goes. Vaha Reeds.
Close, but what'd you do with the aleph in its vowel?
I left the nine.
That's not a quiescent aleph, is it?
No, it's not. It's definitely got its Va. Sorry.
Okay, good. Vaha'aretz. 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 Now, doesn't a quiescent aleph seem like something you want to add to your Martinelli's on New Year's Eve?
Yeah.
I'll have some quiescent olive. You have to have mental relief sometimes with these things. All right, good. All right, next word.
Yeah. Okay. It's hot.
All right. Now let's think about this a minute now. We have a yod. Actually, that yod begins a syllable. Does that help you? In other words, close, but the what's the first vowel?
Oh, yeah. Head is hot.
No, well, that's comets.
Right.
How's the comets sound? Comets.
Ha. It's hot.
Ha-yata.
It's hot.
Okay, so that's a vocalized shiva. And so that's a comets. Ha-yata.
To be something, huh?
Huh?
Be the something.
Well, no, not in this case.
Hard.
You'll know that fairly soon. Well, someday you'll know that as a form of the verb to be.
Was.
So it means was. All right. Next word. Say it again now. Try it again. You're putting an extra syllable in there. Who is right?
The bomb is a bomb.
Well, you got a cholam. How do you say a cholam?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hmm?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So who?
Yes. Tohu.
Did I not see that the first time?
No, you said tohu or something like that.
Oh, that's why I was like, what was that again? That's what I thought I said.
Tohu. Yeah. Okay, next. Exactly. You can hear the poetry here, can't you? This is kind of poetic. Tohu vavohu. Okay. So far we have ha'aretz, ha'yata, tohu vavohu. Next. Close. Very close, but that's a chet. That's right. V'choshek. Well, no, you're right the first time, and why? See where the accent is? Forget those little dots above there, and see the thing that's not a vowel point, which is that slanted line right there. That's where the accent is. So you got it right the first time. V'choshek, right? Because you have the cholam up there for the vowel. All right, very nice, well done. Go ahead and do those two together that are connected together there. In the cave. All, yes.
So this is vocal, it's a vocal Shabbat,
Yep.
and then new, and then Seminary.
That-
The
A.
A. Okay. So all Panay.
All Panay. Excellent. All right. I know we talked about the McCafe in here. Where did we talk about the McCafe in here? I know I read that today. No, not the Mete.
What was it?
Maybe not.
Looks like the Shabbat above the date.
Okay. Which word are you looking at?
The one I think.
Oh, yeah.
The two dots above it.
There's looks like a Shabbat on top of the date.
That's right. Can that be a Shabbat? No. What does it have to be then? Accent mark. Yep. Okay, I know I read about the McCafe in here someplace, but that dash up in the air kind of shows that those two words are two separate words, but it kind of shows that those two words are very closely related. Okay, I know I read about that, and I just can't find it in these two chapters right now. But anyway, all Panay. Okay, next. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Take a shot at it.
Where they.
All right, you're looking at the one after Panay that starts with Tav, right? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words in.
8. Number 8.
Oh, you're looking at number 8?
Yeah.
Okay, do that one then.
I thought it was they.
Well, okay. Now, you see the thing that looks like a vav in there?
Yeah.
That's not a vav.
Well, it's not.
That's a shurik. That's a vowel, in other words. I mean, it's a vowel, but it's functioning as a vowel. So with the dot in the middle of it, when you see the dot in the middle of the shurik, the vav like that, it's a shurik. And so it is a oo sound. And the patak, see how the patak is sort of pushed over to the right and not right under the chet? That's because it's a furtive patak. Now we learned about furtive patak today. Remember, you have to say the furtive patak before the chet. So give that another shot. Well, you're close. So the vav in the beginning with the vocalized shava, va, ru. Yeah, that's very close. Varuach. You got to pronounce that furtive patak in there. Okay, varuach. All right, now I'll do the one before that because we skipped that one. Tahom. Okay. So far we have haaretz, hayata, tohu, vavohu, vachoshek, al panei, tahom, varuach, Elohim. I get to do that one. Sorry. we have to have you be challenged a little bit. Well, we did challenge you there. So okay, the one that starts with the main there.
Main?
Yeah. All right, I'll do that one. You can do the next one. Okay, you have the main. Carl. I know you guys are counting ahead. I know how this works. I've been there myself. I've been in so many of these classes. Okay, so the main, and then the vocalized Shabbat at the beginning of the word. So Mara.
Then, yeah, but how do you get a pay in there? Malachi?
Well, you got to do the chet first.
Malachi.
Marachet, and that's where the accent is. Marachefet.
Oh, well, I need a little bit bigger print.
Well, I totally relate to where you come from.
That's great.
Yeah, making a photocopy of it's not a bad idea. And furthermore, if you want to carry it, you can get a Hebrew Bible twice that size. The original ones are twice that size, and the print was bigger. But then you got to carry it. But you'll probably live longer if you carry it. Yeah.
Here's a question then.
How do I end with the...
Are we going to be in Genesis 1, like we should look at this page for the next, and there's a last slide for next week?
Oh, yeah.
Translation thing?
Yeah. We're going to try to get in some, various places of the Bible. But yeah, make a copy of Genesis 1 if you want to. Then you can write on it and make it bigger and blah, blah, blah. It would be good.
Well, then how do I end with the top?
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know where you get the big one anymore. I don't even know if they print it anymore. I was tempted to go to a bookstore and see if I could find it used.
The problem is you cover up the vowel point.
Yeah.
How do I end with the top at the end?
Well, it's pronounced Marachefet.
Hefet?
Chefet.
Hefet?
It's a weird word, actually. Yeah, you did get the good one. Okay, Carl. Alpane. Yeah. And do the next word, too.
Oh, that's my word.
Okay, you can do that one then. Do that one.
Okay,
That's right. Hamayim. Now you have to tell me what it means.
what's mine? Water?
There you go. Very nice.
The water.
See, look. Okay, we're translating Hebrew here. Okay, folks, we're translating Hebrew. That's pretty exciting. All right. Now, Carl, what's the first word of verse 3, by the way? You're going to see this 1,000,000 times in Hebrew Bible. So this is like the first time we should have Martinelli's right now just for seeing this word for the first time, because this is going to occur 1,000,000 times. Yeah, there you go. Say it now. Just say it all together. No, there's no noon. It's a yod. Yod. Vayomer. Vayomer. Koyas and olive. Vayomer. All right, good. Now let's go back to verse 2. Dogish. So Dogish Lene or Dogish Forte? Forte. All right.
How did you pronounce it again?
Vayomer. Yeah. All right. Let's go up to the beginning of verse 2 then. Let's say all of this together. I'll pronounce it for you, and then let's do it together. Okay. So. V'haaretz hayata tohu vavohu v'choshech al panei Tahom. Notice under Tahom is the Atnak, so that's the resting place. That's the beginning. That's the comma place, you might say. It's not really a comma, but right? You understand what I'm saying? And then kind of the next phrase starts with and again, right? Va. See that and, that vav with the shavah under it's an and, right? Varuach Elohim marachefet al panei hamayim. Okay, now let's try to say it together. Okay? Here we go. Vahaaretz hayata tohu vavohu vachoshek al panei tahom varuach Elohim marechefet al panei hamayim. Now what does it mean? Vaharetz, what's that mean? We already know aretz. What is aretz? Or eretz, would it be? Earth or land. Earth, alright. Now, we know that vav already is what? The vav with the shavah stuck on the beginning of the word means what? And. The hay, usually with a patak and a dagesh forte in the next letter, is what? The. But you can't have a dagesh in a guttural. Alepph's a guttural, so instead of a dagesh in the aleph, the patak turns to a comma. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. So here, Vahaaretz means and the earth, Hayata, was tohu vavohu, formless and void. Very good. Now, you hear the poetry there, right? I mean, this is prose, but it's poetic prose. See? So the earth was formless and void. Vachoshek. What's the va? And choshek is what? Darkness. And darkness, all means upon. You ever heard of El Al Airlines? Those are two Hebrew prepositions. El, meaning to or toward, and al, meaning upon. So El Al means to upon. That's the name of the Israeli airline. And this is the second of those prepositions, all. Upon, panei, the face of, that's in a construct form, and so it's in construct with the next word, you'll learn this later, which means the deep. So, and the earth was formless and void and darkness, and we have to supply was here, right? It's like we did in Greek. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. First half of the verse. That atnak right there is telling you. There's a little, not really a comma, but there's, what it is, it's the second strongest disjunctive accent, right? So it's telling me that everything that went before that went together, and what's coming after it goes together. Right? So it's fitting that the next word is and. So, where's the and here? The vav. Okay, the vav with shva under it. Ruach. Varuach is what? Vocabulary word. No? Spirit. Okay? And we would say the Spirit, because this is actually in construct with Elohim. What is Elohim? Right? It means God. So the Ruach Elohim, those words are in construct. So it is the Spirit of God. And Spirit of God is definite by virtue of it being there's one Spirit of God. So we're going to, in English we would say the Spirit of God. The article is not here in Hebrew. And the Spirit of God, marachefet, hovered, al panei, what's that? Huh? Yeah, upon the face. surface, really, right? But literally upon the face. And this is in construct again with Hamayim. We know what Hamayim means. What does Hamayim mean? Water. All right. So the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered upon the surface of the waters. Of the water. There you go. How about that? We're translating Hebrew. All right. But we're struggling with pronunciation. So, let me see. Let's have another round of this. Sorry. So, start with verse 3 and do that first word again.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. But you didn't do the vowel. That I heard anyway. There you go. Vayomer. There you go. Okay. You said it, but I didn't hear. Okay. So do the next word too. Very good. So Vayomer Elohim. Somebody do the next one. Sean, right?
Yehi.
That's right.
Yehi over.
Huh?
Yehi over.
Yehi what?
Over.
Well, yeah, close. It's the or, basically. So again, we have a quiescent olive.
Oh, sure. Yehi or.
Now, what accent is under that word? The atnog. See it?
Yeah.
So there's our pause in the verse. So we have Vayomer Elohim Vayehi or, and Kobe. Yeah, but the Shava is a vocalized Shava, which is just eh. So well, the Vav has a patak under it, right?
Yeah.
So Va Ya He. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Vayahi. Okay, next word. Or. I don't know if that's actually a quiescent aleph. It isn't really because it has a vowel, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah, you pronounce it or. All right, so Vayomer Elohim Vayehi or. Sorry, I did that wrong. Vayomer Elohim Yahi or Vayehi or. All right. Now Vayomer is, like I said, you're going to see that a million times. It simply means he said, and he said with the vowel in it. So and he said. Now the subject here is given, so it's God. So and God said. Yahi, that's from the same verb as we had in the last verse, hayata, but here it's a command. And God said, "Let there be what? Light." And there was light. Period. Okay, verse 4. Tell me your first name again.
Dan.
Dan. Okay, Dan, do the first word of verse 4. Yeah, Va'yireh. Yeah, because that vocal Shiva there. Okay, Va'yireh Elohim. Tell me your first name again. Sherry, right? Okay. Do those next two words that are connected together. So we have Va'yireh Elohim, then Et. Excellent. Ha'or. Very good. All right. And remind me of your first name again.
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah. Ki or Ki?
Kid?
No.
Oh, Tov.
Tov. Very good. Tov. It is good. Well, it is good. Tov. It's good. All right. Tell me your first name again. Les. Okay.
Yavo.
I see that Shiva there, so the first thing I'm going to ask myself is that a vocal Shiva or a silent Shiva? Well, what's before it? Short vowel, right? So short vowel makes it silent.
So it would be
So it will be the vav on the front of it, and the patak, va, and then yod patak, ya, va yav, no dagesh in the bait, so it sounds like a V, va yav. Dalit. Dalit Lamed. Well, the bait doesn't have a dagesh in it, so you got to pronounce that like a V. Yeah, so it's Vayav. Yes. Yeah, Vayav Deo. Yeah, Vayav Deo. Elohim. To the next one. No, it's a Tsara Yod. So that means that Sari and Yod is a vowel.
So it makes the awesome.
No, A.
A.
So bait with a dogish is going to be B. Then you have an A sound. Then you have, what's the next letter?
Yod, and then you have a vowel.
Oh, it's not a vowel.
Well, it sure looks like it.
It does look like it, but it's not. And if you compare it to the other vowels, you'll see it goes down below the line where the vowel doesn't.
Still see that's the problem. I'm trying to let the vowel go in with my work.
Oh no.
Will it get bigger, Frank?
But you can get that bigger Bible, yeah. I think, well, you can try to get it. Yeah. That's a final noon. Remember how that noon goes down? So how would you say it? Bane. The bane of your existence.
Bane?
It's just bane. Yeah. All right, good. Tell me your name again.
Tim.
Tim? Okay, good. Okay, Carl. Haor. All right. And your first name again, I'm sorry.
Jerry.
Jerry, right, okay.
I forgot what that first one.
That's a shurik on the front of that word.
Sure, I forgot how to
Ooh.
Ooh. Bean.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because that's still the vav of and, but it's spelled differently. Right? So say it again.
Booing.
No.
Oh.
Ooh, it starts with an ooh.
Oh. Ooh. Bean.
Close, vein.
Vein.
Ooh, vein. So now that doesn't have a dogish in the bait. Why not? Doesn't start the word, right? The God Father doesn't have to because it's not the beginning of the word. The other one, the other bane's got to have a dogish because it begins the word. So there it's bane. When you put the and in front of it, it becomes uvain. Right? All right. And the next word is, who wants a bonus word? Anybody say it? Okay, you got a hey, chet, sheen, ka, final ka. Ha-choshek. Ha-choshek. Okay. Now, how do you translate this? Anybody want to take a stab at translating it? I hope you. Let's see. First word. And he saw. Okay, so how are you going to translate that first part? Well, you don't have your English Bible open, do you? Close that English Bible. I mean, we spent all this money and all this time to get away from that thing.
I was speaking resourceful.
Yeah, it is resourceful, but that's a crutch that will keep you sick. But it is smart after your translation to check yourself. After your translation, to check yourself. And don't use an NIV for that. Yeah, don't use the messaging. You go, where did they get that? Well, come on, somebody be brave. You can translate those first couple words, right? We're on verse 4. Well, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit. Okay, the first word means and he saw. So somebody translate the first two words. Okay, anybody know what Elohim means? Okay, so can somebody translate the first two words? No. And God saw. Now when I said it means and he saw. It was by itself, and it can be by itself, and mean and he saw. But when the subject is supplied, now the subject isn't he, the subject is God. See? Right? Now it could be God wouldn't have to be there, but it is. And God wouldn't have to be there for us to understand that that's God, because God's the only person around at this point, right? In the story. Yes?
I have a question. So actually that's why we know there's not a reference to two gods in these from just a guy, that it's a singular he and he saw. Then the subject is gods. In other words, when someone says, well, if they were to make an argument and say, no,
that's right. God's used every time in the Old Testament with singular verbs.
Plural, but then they say, but you look at the context, it's very clearly subject to singular.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay, so
however,
the verb indicates The singular or plural?
Oh yeah, that's a singular verb, right? It's
Well, the verb will indicate singular, plural, and the noun too, right? So they have to match up, usually.
yeah, they have to match up. Now here they don't match up, but it's because it's a plural of majesty, and that's how we know it's a plural of majesty, partly. But wait till we get to Genesis 1:26, which will be months from now at this rate, by the way. Let us make man in our image. Kind of interesting. Kind of makes Trinitarian people happy, that verse. All right, so God saw what is et. Now sometimes it's spelled eight, like in verse 1. Sometimes it's spelled et. It gets to change depending on what's immediately around it. But what is et? No, that's va. It's a direct object marker, remember? Okay, so this is going to tell us what God saw, the direct object. God saw what? Haor. Okay, let's go back to verse 3. And God said, let there be or. And there was or. Okay. And God saw the haor, the light. Okay. Ki, that, tov. What's tov? Good. That's right. Tov. God saw the light, that good, and we have to supply a verb of being, that it was good. Hot knock. All right. And God, because I got to jump over a word to get my subject. Because see, you're noticing in Hebrew the subject comes after the verb. That's typical. It doesn't have to, but it usually does. In English, the subject's going to come first, typically, but in Hebrew, it's going to come after. So, and God divided Bain between Haor, the light, Uvain, and between, right? You see that? If Bain is between, Uvain is going to be and between. Between the light and between HaChoshet, the darkness. We had that before. Right? Now that's idiomatically Hebrew and a bit poetic. We would say in English, God divided between the light and the darkness. But in Hebrew, it's literally God divided between the light and between the darkness. Pretty radical, huh? Well, we need to do some work on our pronunciation, don't we? We'll start again at verse 5. Yeah, if you want to make a copy of that, that's not a bad idea. We're going to be working through this page at least some. So make a copy of that and you can see it. All right. Well, I hope you feel overwhelmed because that would be normal. That's what you're supposed to feel right now. So you're, if you're not feeling huh?
Good job. You can feel some stuff.
Right on. All right. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing my job if you didn't feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel overwhelmed for a little while. In the back of your, I haven't looked at mine, but in the back of your textbook, you will find a CD. And check that out and see what it is. And if there's pronunciation stuff on the CD, I don't remember. There's not? Okay, there's not pronunciation stuff on the CD. However, you can get online and get that vocabulary program.
In the front of that book, there is a website that you can email them, or you can get on that website.
Yeah, I think it's basicsofbiblicalhebrew.com or something. You can get on there and you can get. I encourage you to get that vocabulary program because I think that'll pronounce it for you. You really have to be able to pronounce vocabulary to learn it. Are you able to pronounce the vocabulary as we've gone over it? All right, and that's the thing. And that's again why right now it could be helpful for you to get together with somebody else. Now you might, both affirm erroneous pronunciations of one another, but at least
Whereas
you're wrong. At least you're wrong together. Where two or more are gathered, whatever. So you got it, but you got to know your letters, right? You've got to know your vowels and how they sound, or you're not going to be able to pronounce. And really, if you can't pronounce, you're done. What do you have? Oh,
this is we have a couple of these, I think, at the office. They can purchase, and it's a vocabulary.
well, there it is. You
That's
can.
audio.
Yeah, let's see.
But
But that still isn't our tutor.
no, it isn't a
Can I-
tutor, but it's a vocabulary so that they pronounce
It pronounces.
so that you can
Oh,
grasp.
this is 2 audio CDs. So I guess you could play this in your car. It says learn on the go. So you could play this in your car and learn the vocabulary. So that's pretty nifty. How much is this? Do you know?
23 again.
$23.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cheap at twice the price. All right.
State
ISBN number on that 23 provider.